Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, J.D. Vance goes on The View, and Major League Baseball threatens San Francisco Giants who wrote Bible verses on their hats. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
Okay, before we get to your daily dose of adrenaline, disclaimer for everybody watching on the video stream. If my shirt is coming more and more undone during the broadcast today, one, you'll know why they call me Chewbacca. But two, it is 90 degrees outside, and the air conditioning in our entire building is broken, and I am surrounded by electronics. I have a fan that I stole from one of my children who's about to go to sleepaway camp, hooked up to my microphone. So if you're watching on Rumble and Facebook and YouTube and X, and you go, why is Ari Hoffman stripping on camera? That is the reason why. And if you want to give tips to that, I can set up a Venmo for Ari Hoffman's Dodge account. We can do that.
And I got more bad news for you.
Uh-oh. What's
You can
that?
hear the fan.
You can hear the fan, so I have to turn the fan. Okay, we're turning the fan off. You can hear the fan.
Oh, yeah.
Turning the fan off. You heard it?
When you go to break, maybe we can figure out a way to mount that somewhere else. But you can absolutely
I will
hear
take it off. I will take it off. I will boil for all of you the things I do for my audience.
Sorry,
Well,
pal.
that's okay. I mean, there's not much to this shirt, so soon it's going to be like Antonio Banderas' show from Sound Night Live in here. It is hot in here, no? I take off my shirt now. Kevin, you got to get the mariachi music to go with that. Anywho, switching gears over to the real reason you turned into the show today, not for my striptease, but the real reason why. Today, talking points were leaked on the deal with Iran. And I'm going to give President Trump benefit of the doubt, and let me tell you why. When the Abraham Accords were first announced, and the Abraham Accords were between Israel and several of their Arab neighbors, the first announcement of that deal, everybody who's pro-Israel was like, I can't believe we voted for this. Because the deal gave everything to the Palestinians. Everything they could possibly want gave it to the Palestinians. And I said, is Jared Kushner out of his mind? Is President Trump out of his mind? What are they thinking? And then what happened was they proposed this deal, and the Palestinians said, nope. So Jared Kushner and President Trump were able to go to the Arab nations and say, dude, we tried. We tried, dudes. They rejected everything. So how about we make a peace deal and forget the Palestinians? And then we got the Abraham Accords, which have held, which have lasted, which helped bring back hostages, which are the basis for peace in the Middle East, which are all based around Iran being a huge threat. President Trump, Jared Kushner, saying, would you rather be friends with the Jews or would you rather be killing the Jews? Would you rather do business with the Jews or would you rather be killing the Jews? And look at the peace that has sprung up in the region because of that. So while I'm reading these talking points, it is still not the deal. It is still not what's actually in the text. And you just heard from KVI News at the top of the hour. We're not going to find out what's in the deal until after they sign it. I'm getting triggered right now. Oh, we have to pass Obamacare so we can know what's in it. Well, we have the talking points. These are the talking points officially from the White House, which say, here's what they are on the Memorandum of Understanding. It's on their letterhead. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Good, wonderful, fantastic. President Trump drew that line and enforced it, and no other president would. President Trump ended the fighting on every front, including Lebanon. No forever war. Is Israel on board with this? Because if Hezbollah keeps launching rockets at Israel, Israel's going to keep blowing up Hezbollah. And the problem isn't Lebanon. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization inside of Lebanon. The problem is not the Lebanese government. The problem is the terrorist group they're trying to deal with. So, okay, great. There's no problem with Lebanon. There's a problem with Hezbollah. Now I got a problem because it's not addressed here. The Strait of Hormuz is open again, free of charge. Is it? Because Iran's out there saying they're going to toll the thing and they're going to charge everybody. And this isn't like, oh, $1.25 in tolls. This makes 405 look like a bargain. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in tolls depending on what your cargo is. Iran's rewards come from its own unfrozen money, not from American taxpayers, and only after it performs. Okay, here's where we start having some issues here. So we have a whole bunch of frozen assets of Iran's. We got really, really mad when Barack Obama and Joe Biden started unfreezing those assets. Why are we unfreezing those assets? That's question number one. Now, they say only after they perform. Well, it should be, and this is what I've been saying from the beginning. One, you guys commit not to develop a nuclear weapon. We take all the nuclear dust. No more centrifuges. No more nuclear power. No more enriching uranium. That's number one. Number two, no more developing ballistic missiles because you've been launching them at everybody, not just the Jews. So you guys don't get your toys anymore. We're taking those away. Number three, no more funding terrorism. No more funding Hamas. No more funding Hezbollah. No more funding the Houthi rebels. No more funding ISIS. No more funding any of those guys. Number five, no tolling the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is open. Then, and only then, if you do all that, then maybe we'll consider unfreezing your assets. That's what the deal should look like. Is that what the deal is? I wish I could tell you. All I've got is these talking points. Look, if I got talking points from the Democrats, and I'm trying to be balanced here, if I got talking points from the Democrats, you know what I would say? This is garbage. See, the memo. They sent out the memo, and this is what you're supposed to read when you go on air. So for those of you who say, Ari, you get the memo every day, and you just regurgitate talking points, I am literally taking them apart piece by piece as we are going through this document. Okay, top line. President Trump solved a threat Washington spent 40 years managing. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. How? How? You haven't told me how yet. The fighting is over on every front, including Lebanon. No, it's not. Lebanon still has Hezbollah. Hezbollah still launching rockets. Oh, by the way, Gaza still have Hamas attacking Israel. So, no, it's not done yet, and they're both Iranian proxies. No American boots in another forever war. Okay, well, did we win? The Strait of Hormuz is open again. Is it? And energy prices American families pay every day are coming down. That happens to be true. There is more work ahead to reach the final deal, but no president other than Trump could have brought us this far. Well, I would phrase that a little differently. No president ever tried. So I would 100% agree with that. No president did that. Barack Obama said, oh, you captured some of our sailors? How many billions of dollars would you like? Joe Biden said, oh, you oughta have peace. Iran, give money. That was what Joe Biden did. So he didn't do anything. And to be fair, Republicans didn't do anything either. Reagan said, we're going to blow the hell out of them. Give us back our hostages. Got back the hostages, didn't blow the hell out of them. Instead, we've had, almost 50 years of the Ayatollahs. Okay? President Trump's strength brought Iran to the table. Yes, because he blew the crap out of them. So are you caving now? We don't know. Number three, the Memorandum of Understanding ends the fighting, including in Lebanon. How many times can I ring home this point? Lebanon is not the problem. Hezbollah is the problem. And so far, you have thanked every single other country except for Israel. In fact, right now, Israel's pretty worried about this deal because they're worried about being bound by some deal that the U.S. has, oh, by the way, already signed. You know how they say they're having this big signing in Switzerland later in the week? They already signed it digitally. You know what's happening right now? They basically already had the closing documents of the mortgage, but mom and dad haven't posed in front of the house with the kids yet to take the picture. That's what we're waiting on. So because we haven't done that with the dog right next to them, because we haven't done that, oh, it's not signed yet? No, it's already signed. They already signed this Memorandum of Understanding. Okay. They say the Israel-Hezbollah fight has been the region's most dangerous flashpoint. No. No. Hezbollah started launching rockets on October 8th. Hamas invaded Israel on October 7th, killed 1,200 people, raped, tortured, executed, and kidnapped another 251 people. And they killed 44 Americans and took another 7 of them hostage. So, no, I don't think the Hezbollah one has been the problem. And if you remember Operation Grim Beeper, where Israel detonated all of the beepers they managed to sell Hezbollah, You remember all that? Yeah, they got rid of their leadership pretty well. So, no, I don't think it's the most dangerous flashpoint. Okay. Strait of Hormuz is open again. They say the Strait of Hormuz is open to commercial traffic, free of charge. Iran does the demining and clears every obstacle. Energy flows return to normal exactly as President Trump said. Well, then, why is Iran saying they get to toll this thing? Is it Iran is saving face? Or is that actually in the document? Is that one of those things where it's not American taxpayer money, but if they play by all our rules, now they get income from tolling the strait? I mean, after all, they are tariffs, right? Yeah, that's an uncomfortable thing to talk about in our world, isn't it? Okay, so let's move on from there. Iran commits to no nuclear weapons. They've been committing to no nuclear weapons for 50 years. They have never followed any of these agreements before. Why would they follow them now? They say this delivers President Trump's central promise. Iran gets no nuclear weapons. Iran committed to it in writing. The IAEA returns to verify because they've done such a bang-up job around the rest of the world, haven't they? Iran's enriched material is neutralized under direct IAEA supervision, so it can no longer serve as a pathway to a weapon. Inspectors verify every step. President Trump drew this line on day one. Okay, I would feel more comfortable if we were responsible for that. I would. I mean, I know everybody goes to the IAEA, but they're not exactly the best partners in this, so I'd feel more comfortable if it's us. 6, Iran cannot run out the clock. The MOU sets a finite window to finalize the deal. No open-ended timeline for Iran to exploit. Now, that's important because Iran has already stretched this thing out for 2 months. So you're saying you have to abide by these terms. Here's the deadline. Here's the deal, or you ain't getting your money. Or you ain't getting anything else, or we ain't moving forward. I'm fine with that. I like that. 7, Iran earns its own money back. It's not handed ours. Good, I like that. No Barack Obama delivering pallets of cash in the middle of the night. Yeah, that actually happens. Billions of dollars of American taxpayer money to Iran. Pretty please, don't build a nuclear weapon. Pretty please. You pinky promise? You pinky promise? We'll do the pinky promise so you don't build a nuclear weapon. Excellent. Oh, you're building. You broke our pinky promise. You broke it. Okay. No more of that. Good. Fantastic. We're not paying them with American taxpayer money. I don't know, guys. This is something where I just kind of say, yeah, it's nice in theory, but these are talking points. These are actual talking points. You know, every single day, an email goes out from the RNC and the DNC for everybody who's going on media, and it says, here's your talking points of the day. If you're going on media, here's what we're selling. Today, we're selling the economy. Today, we're selling the border. Today, we're selling affordability. I get those emails. I'm on both their lists. Yes, I actually get all their emails. There are talking point emails that go out. I know what everybody says. I never read them. And in fact, have you ever watched somebody who's being interviewed on cable news? And you say, why don't they deviate? Why don't they go outside a little bit? Why don't they punch back? Because they're not deviating from their talking points. Because then they're worried they're not going to be asked back by whoever they are representing on the show. I deviate from talking points. I'm uncontrollable. I'm unpredictable, which is why they don't send me out to do these things. But then again, I'm a better debater because I'm not restricted by the talking points. This is a talking points memo for anybody who's trying to sell this for the Trump administration. I already poked 30 holes in this whole thing. I would love to see the actual deal. If I see the actual deal, then I might say, like the Abraham Accords, well, the first one sucked, but this second draft is fantastic. I love it. Let's do this. Or I might say, this is the dumbest thing ever. President Trump caved. I can't believe it. I can't believe I voted for this guy. I'm becoming a Democrat. That's never going to happen. But I'm throwing it out there as a possibility. I don't know because I haven't seen the thing yet. Nobody's seen it except for some Arab countries. Apparently, Israel's seen it. They're not too keen on it. What is in the deal? And something else. You're sending J.D. Vance out on a PR tour for this thing. Why isn't President Trump doing the PR tour? I understand President Trump's very busy. I understand he's at the G7 summit. I understand he's got things going on. But you send J.D. Vance out with this, which now means if J.D. Vance decides to run for president in 2028, this is now J.D. Vance's deal if it fails. And that is going to be held over him the entire campaign. Here's something else. Which member of the IRGC is going to be posing in a picture with J.D. Vance when they sign the Memorandum of Understanding? Which person who has American blood on their hands is going to be standing next to J.D. Vance when they shake hands and pose for the camera and sign a few things? Which monster from that regime is going to be in that picture? Now that's with J.D. Vance. You couldn't have just docu-signed this thing and said, okay, let's move on. Why do you need the big spectacle? I am very concerned about this. I am not happy about this because I want to see what's in the actual deal, as does everybody else. Look, Barack Obama's Iran deal was not a deal. It was as bad as Bill Clinton's. Bill Clinton's deal with North Korea was pretty please, don't develop nuclear weapons. And then what do we find out? They developed nuclear weapons. It was as bad as Ukraine. Hey, Ukraine, if you guys give up your nuclear weapons, the U.S. will always have your back. We'll always have your back. We'll fight every war for you. We'll come to your defense. Just give us your nuclear weapons. You remove the deterrent against a Russia invasion. Look what happened, and we're on the hook for it. Barack Obama's pretty please don't develop nuclear weapons. In fact, I would actually say Barack Obama's responsible for the Abraham Accords. He made such a mess of the Middle East by giving American taxpayer money to a terrorist regime, the number one state sponsor of terror, that, guess what? They sponsored terror, and all the Arab neighbors got freaked out about it and said we'd rather be friends with the Jews. So they made the Abraham Accords, and now everybody gets along for the most part. So you did all these things. You created all this chaos. I hope we're not going back to that. Because Barack Obama's Iran deal enabled Iran to get to having a nuclear weapon so that we had to send in the bombers to take out Fordo and take out their other nuclear facilities. It gave them the money to carry out the October 7th attacks. It gave them the money to fund Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, the Houthi rebels, you name it. If they are a terrorist group in that area, they were funded by Iran. That's what a proxy is. They are their proxy groups. They were conducting a proxy war. I would love to stand here today and tell you, guys, President Trump is the greatest president that ever lived. We're going to carve out a section on Mount Rushmore right here. In fact, where that UFC arena is, we're going to build the Trump monument even before he's dead. We're going to bury him under it when he dies because he's such a great president. I don't know. Haven't seen the deal yet. Haven't seen the deal yet. I've just seen the talking points. And whether they're Republican talking points or Democrat talking points, I take them apart. I analyze them. And looking at this right now, not too thrilled about it. Not too thrilled at all. Question is, what do you think? This thing is released to the media. The Associated Press had it. They released it to everybody, which means everybody has had it now. After my analysis, do you have more faith in this deal or do you have less faith in this deal? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. You know what else I don't have faith in? Katie Wilson. Katie Wilson says Seattle is ready for the World Cup. If we're so ready for the World Cup, why are we finding teenagers being trafficked in drug scenes in Seattle? Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. I'm very much looking forward to Iran playing Egypt on Pride Night in Seattle. Yeah, that's actually going to happen. That's going to be the game next Friday. I am very much looking forward to this. You know why? Because I already found out, as we saw yesterday, if you're following the World Cup, a whole bunch of Iranians that live in this country, that love America, that hate the regime, showed up yesterday. You know what they were doing in the parking lot? They were handing out shirts with names on it of all the people who were executed in Iran by the regime. You know what they did next? They tried to bring in one of those giant flags into the stadium of the old Iranian flag. The one with the lion on it, with the sun, that's the pre-Ayatollah one. They got stopped. They've been protesting this nonstop. So what's going to happen in Seattle? You're going to have Iran playing Egypt on Pride Night, and you're going to have the anti-regime people show up to protest. Again, I've already gotten flyers for it. Then you're going to have the people who are the pro-Israel anti-regime people showing up to protest. Oh, and then you're going to have, on top of that, you're going to have the anti-Israel people showing up to protest the pro-Israel people and the pro-anti-regime people. And on top of that, you might have the Ari Hoffman show right in the middle of all that, next to a hot dog cart. Who knows? We'll see. We might be there for the fun. It'll be very, very exciting. But now we have a new problem. Is Iran even going to be here? Apparently, after their matches yesterday, Iran was booted out of the country. We don't know why. We just know they were sent back to their training facility in Mexico. Is that well, we're not really sure if we can vet all you guys. We know which ones are terrorists, but there's some of you that might be terrorists, so we're sending you back there. We don't even know if Iran is going to make it to these games. I kind of hope they do, because it's going to be a train wreck. Going to be an absolute train wreck. Becky in Enumclaw says regarding the memorandum of understanding regarding the Iran deal, I don't know what to think. I don't trust Iran at all. Yep, completely agree. John in Auburn, Ari, I have no faith in any deal with Iran. The country should no longer exist. Too many loose ends to deal with later. Yep, I agree. From Jeff and Kent, Jedi Master Hoffman. Did you just answer your own question? Iran has never abided by any agreement. Why would it make a difference what this says? It may be the way the U.S. finally says, we tried, then bombs them into Cratersville, which actually would kind of be the Trump doctrine. You want to be friends or you want to be blown up? That's right. That's what it could be. That's what it could be. Paul in North Seattle says, Ari drives me up a wall often, but I appreciate this Iran deal take. It feels like every other Republican decided the 40th time was the charm. Yeah, I don't roll that way. I'm also technically not a member of the Republican Party. I'm not a member of any party. I mean, I like to party, but I don't, do the political parties. So that's what your feedback is on the Iran deal. But the question we keep asking, Katie Wilson keeps saying that Seattle is ready for the World Cup. Really? We're ready for the World Cup. Then why do we still have drug addicts roaming around the Chinatown International District? I was out there on Sunday with Jonathan Cho and Andrea Suarez. And as we were out there, you wouldn't believe the things that we saw. Jonathan Cho posted a video to social media last night showcasing some of the things that we saw while we were out there. You can view it up on my X, YouTube, all the other channels. It's all up there right now. Give a listen.
Chinatown ID is still a hot mess.
I know Katie Wilson says Seattle is ready. Seattle's not ready. When you have people dying here on the streets, when you have this amount of drug use.
This is a popular area to score dope. This is where everybody knows everybody.
It's quite ironic for a city that keeps talking about DEI, equity, minority communities, and yet this one has just turned into a containment zone.
Well, don't you know they always destroy the minority communities? That's always where they put these things.
This place is great. Szechuan cuisine in Seattle, very good, phenomenal.
Don't you think this place would be better if they got rid of all the drug addicts?
What should be done about it?
Oh, I think downtown should take on some of this burden, not just these minority communities. You know what I'm saying? Why is this place always messed up, man?
I don't know. I guess they pushed them this way.
Look at all the boarded up businesses that are around here. Look at all the stores that used to exist. Anybody who thinks this is a housing crisis has never been out here and never actually looked at anything that's going on here. I look over here. None of these people look homeless.
We have to stop.
Okay, we're going to stop right there for a second because this is a little long. If you go out to the Chinatown International District, the community out there, most of the stores are gone. Most of the stores have been boarded up, and in their place, there are drug addicts out front. They're not intense. They're not intense. You're not seeing the tents everywhere. This is a massive drug crisis. In fact, my guess is a lot of these people are actually in city, county, or state housing. They don't look homeless. There's a difference between somebody who looks like they've been living on the street and somebody who just looks like they're on drugs. There's also a person who's living on the street and on drugs. But the people we saw out there, they don't look homeless. We have to stop calling it a homeless crisis, as Andrea Suarez from We Heart Seattle is about to say.
Stop saying the homeless, the homeless, the homeless. It's the drug addicted, the mentally ill.
They're probably living in city paid for hotels or apartments.
This has now become a full-blown hangout.
Do you see a tent anywhere?
They come here for the drugs.
Yeah, in fact, they give out maps in the hotels downtown. Here's the area you want to go, and here's where all the good stuff is. They don't want you wandering off a block or two in one direction or the other, because then you're going to run into this.
Drugs, drug markets. That's what's killing Seattle and these businesses.
I mean, look at this. Every business in Chinatown. It's just one after the other.
Now, there's something fascinating while we were walking through Chinatown. You have all these closed businesses, but don't worry, they have freshly painted Pride crosswalks. Freshly painted. They're good to go. They have Native American, or are they First Nations? What are we calling them now? Yeah, they have the freshly painted crosswalks. Bravo. Bravo, guys. Really well done, everyone.
Closed. How you doing, Holly? Good to see you guys. Everyone's here. I mean, look at this.
Now, what we walked into, and this was fascinating, you have guys who don't speak English who are feeding the drug addicts. Now, you may think to yourself, Ari, isn't that nice? Isn't that special? They're helping out the drug addicts. They're feeding them, so they come there for the food, and then they buy their drugs. That's why they're doing it. And here's where we met a young girl who we're pretty sure was being trafficked.
Everyone's here now. Trying to stay out the Fetty? You're so young.
This was a young girl, a young black girl. Looks no older than 16, 17 years old. Her bra is barely on her. Her pants are unbuttoned. She's holding fentanyl straw. She's holding a fentanyl foil. She's holding a little bit of food. She looks like she could be my daughter's friend in school. And she's probably being trafficked. And she's there in this whole mess.
What are you doing out here?
Okay, my name is Andrea. Nice to meet you. I help people get into medical detox and sober housing. Okay. There's a place right now in Renton called The More We Love that take women in. Do you have a phone? How old are you?
I'm 27.
All right. This is your lifeline right here, okay?
That girl's my daughter's age. My daughter's 15.
She's being trafficked, man. She's trafficked and she's not 27.
Yeah, there's no way.
And she's like, I'll call you, or you gave me a hug. I mean, where is the outreach? Where is the boots on the ground? We don't need $17 million worth of accelerated shelter. We need $17 million of street outreach.
So here's the real question. If, God forbid, that was your daughter, or God forbid, that was your relative, you're going to say, oh, this is compassion? Oh, I'll put him in a tiny home? You're going to do that? You're going to turn your back on that girl and say, believe all women, and say, we believe in kids, we help kids, we promote education. That girl is out on the streets of Seattle, and she is no older than 16 years old.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Smoking fentanyl.
Yeah.
Smoking fentanyl.
We have got to put more people on the ground and just say enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Whatever they're spending the money on is a complete waste.
Now, that's somebody who is blocks away from where the World Cup is being held. We filmed that on Sunday night. That's 2 days ago. It's Tuesday. We filmed that on Sunday night on the eve of the World Cup. And that's what's happening in our world-class city. That's what's happening in a city which Katie Wilson says is ready for the World Cup. No, it's not. I'm going to keep using this comparison. But Katie Wilson is just a kid living in her mom's house, living in her parents' house, who parents told her to clean up the rooms, so she shoved all this laundry under the bed or into a closet. That's Katie Wilson. That's Katie Wilson. Matt says over on the text line, the Iran team is camped out in Mexico and are allowed to fly in on game day and fly out right afterwards. No, I acknowledge that, Matt. I understand that, Matt. But there's something today. The news was saying they were literally told leave town, and they made a huge spectacle out of it. So is this Iran doing what Iran does, or is this just the deal, so Iran's making a bigger deal out of it? I'll pull up the sources, Matt. I'll send it over to you. I completely acknowledge where you're coming from. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss. J.D. Vance owns the ladies of The View, completely destroys them in politics, but there's a couple things I'm not too happy with. Tell you all about it when we come back with that awesome audio. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. News broke earlier today that the FBI and law enforcement partners disrupted an alleged plot targeting the UFC Freedom 250 event in Washington, D.C. this weekend. 5 people are now in custody, and investigators identified 23 people as part of a potential network of conspirators. The plan was to use drones loaded with explosives to hit buildings near the event, force a mass evacuation, and then steer all the people into a pre-staged sniper team. Then a second wave was supposed to storm the White House gate. Okay, number one, if you still don't believe we need the White House ballroom with all the stuff that's going underneath it, including the bunker, this might be a good reason why. Have you ever seen the movie Olympus Has Fallen? One of the bloodiest movies ever. It's like in Hot Shots Part 2, when they have that body counter just ticking up and ticking up and ticking up and ticking up in the corner. That's Olympus Has Fallen. But number 2, regarding this, do you know why these guys were plotting this? If you look at the unsealed criminal indictment, which was released earlier today, these are not terrorists from out of country. These are homegrown. Do you know what they were mad about? Epstein. Mad about Epstein. Convinced there was a conspiracy. But more than that, they also believed that there's a Jewish conspiracy. There is a social media account called Track APAC. And what these guys do is track how much money they think Jewish donors, Israel-supporting donors, Christian Zionists give to certain candidates. And they track it. These guys were plotting a hit list off the social media accounts. This is all the conspiracy theory brain rot. And these are late teens, early 20s, these suspects who've been taken over by the brain rot mind virus who were plotting this insanity. You should really read the indictment. It is crazy, crazy stuff what they were planning on doing. They were targeting people based on who they thought was friendly to the Jews. Beyond nuts. Beyond crazy. Well, speaking of crazy, the ladies over at The View, the televised mental institution that for some reason is still on air, had J.D. Vance on today. J.D. Vance, stellar. Absolutely stellar. These ladies just showed how little they know. This was towards the beginning of the conversation.
First of all, it's been well covered that I was a critic of Donald Trump back in 2015 and 2016. Now, obviously, I'm sitting here as the Vice President of the United States in the Trump administration. Well, Joy, a little humility, actually. I think that when you make predictions and those predictions turn out to be false, you got to ask yourself, well, what made me wrong about that? What did I not understand or not appreciate? For example, I said that Donald Trump's economic policies would not lead to wage growth. They did in the first term. That was actually a major, major thing. I said that we couldn't bring back any of those factory jobs because I kind of had given into this idea that those jobs were disappearing. But actually, Donald Trump, you saw a manufacturing boom during that administration. So there's a certain point. Let me just. So there's a certain point where you say, you know, I made predictions about this. I ended up being wrong. Yeah. And in politics and anything, I think it's important to just say, you know what? I got some things wrong, and I was wrong about him.
That is very sound advice. That is very, very sound advice. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. The ladies of You don't do that. They just keep doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, like in this interaction here, where J.D. Vance says, you guys claim that you care about kids, and instead you didn't say anything when the Biden administration was losing hundreds of thousands of children, or when cartel members were killing them or raping them or throwing them into the Rio Grande or poisoning them with fentanyl. Instead, you guys were advocating for an open border.
The lack of clean water, the lack of medical attention, the lack of education. I would urge you as a Christian and as a father to visit those detention centers where the children are being held and make sure that the conditions are up to the values that we hold in this country.
So you guys have thrown a lot at me, and I see we got 30 seconds left here. But let me say,
You're
number
the Vice
one,
President. You can go long.
I'd like to pick up on this theme because I think it's really important. We do have to strike a balance, of course, between enforcing our laws. We don't want to dehumanize people. That is the balance that, look, law enforcement, what I'd say about this, law enforcement is always inherently not a very pretty process, especially when you're dealing sometimes with violent people, with people who are resisting arrest. Some of the people that I've been told by the media were completely peaceful, had never violated any laws. You actually look into the record and you find out that those people were actually being violent, or they did have a criminal record. They had a sex traffic conviction.
Don't have criminal records. The majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait.
But
the majority are not criminal.
But can I respond to that, guys? Let me just say this. Okay. So you talk about the children. Here's what I'd say. Do we know that during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions?
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point. Unless you enforce the border, you invite that kind of conduct. You think that our immigration policies are inhumane based on the reporting of one person with a political bias. What I'm telling you is that it's inhumane to allow cartels to sex traffic people across our border. And by the way,
please hold on.
So this is interesting. They won't let him finish the point because he's proving them wrong. And they refuse to say. They're so addicted to talking. They're so interested in what they're saying, not what he's saying. They can't acknowledge the horrors of the last administration that happened at the border. They can't acknowledge them at all. Literally what he was saying before, acknowledging that you're wrong. And no, Navarro, it is not true that the majority of people being rounded up do not have criminal convictions. There are some people being rounded up. And guess what? They did break the law by coming here illegally. And the reason that they're being rounded up is because when ICE goes into neighborhoods after the criminal illegal aliens, when they find them among other illegal aliens, they're going to take them out with them too. And the left was warned about that in advance. The fact that the left can't admit that their border policies were a colossal disaster and in fact continue to double down. So for example, Representative Pramila Jayapal, the Democrat from Gaza, was all mad the other day that the World Cup referee from Somalia with ties to the Al-Shabaab terrorist organization that Al-Shabaab claimed. She posted this video yesterday. That controversy happened on Friday. She's had 3 days to use Google, and she didn't. She's all mad we didn't let in a terrorist. Talk about doubling down.
I also know that this year is tough because I'm keenly aware, as the top Democrat on the Immigration Subcommittee, that the United States stopped accepting immigrant visa applications from more than 1/3 of the countries that are coming to play. The United States has banned almost entirely visitors from 2 participant countries, Haiti and Iran. Omar Abdul Qadir Artan, who would have been the first Somali referee for the World Cup and was recently named the best referee in Africa, was refused entry and turned away without any explanation by customs in Miami.
Not true. He was linked to the Al-Shabaab Islamic terrorist network. Lady, look it up. They claimed him. Oh, he's the first Somali referee, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you know what? If Ayatollah Khomeini was a referee for the World Cup, well, he'd be the first Ayatollah who was ever a referee he would be the first Iranian Ayatollah who was ever a referee for the World Cup. Isn't that amazing? If Adolf Hitler was coming to town, he'd be the first dropout of art school who became a referee for you really want to keep going down this road? You really want to keep going down it? This is who you're advocating for? The guy with terror ties? Have you lost your mind? No, they're doubling down on these failed policies. They are so trying to virtue signal, so open-minded that their brains have completely fallen out. Yeah, he's a great referee, but let's let him into the country. You want to go through other people who are living in this country who had normal jobs and then committed terrorist acts? Not worth the risk. Speaking of risks, by the way, a few players from the San Francisco Giants took a very big risk going against the Pride Mafia at Major League Baseball. We'll tell you what happened when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I thought we were done with all this Pride insanity. Oh, no, wait, the calendar hasn't clicked over. It's still June. So, yeah, Pride Month. I'll tell you what my pride flag is. It's got stars and stripes and only 3 colors on it. Last week, the San Francisco Giants hosted their Pride Night, and the team had to wear these rainbow-colored Giants hats. I hate this nonsense. I really, really do. By the way, I don't like it for anything. I don't like it for any cause. I know. Call me a monster. I don't like the pink stuff for breast cancer. I don't like any of that. Can you just wear the uniforms? Just wear the basic uniforms. That's it. I hate all of this. Several Giants pitchers, according to Fox News, in a statement of their faith, wrote Bible verse designations on their hats. One starting pitcher, Landon Rope, addressed his reasoning after the game, saying the verse is about representing God's covenant. He says it's just about God's covenant and a promise that he makes to us, his faithfulness, and his mercy. That's just kind of something I believe in. I stand firm in that. And I'm thankful we live in a country where we have the freedom to believe what we want and express what they want. So, you wore a hat. You didn't put the verse from the Bible of, thou shalt not lie with another man, for it is an abomination. You didn't do that. You just put something about God's covenant, and you wore the hat. Okay. And now Major League Baseball is ticked off. Now Major League Baseball is mad. Let's do this objectively for a second. If your employer has in the contract, you have to wear the stupid hat, guess what? You have to wear the stupid hat. Freedom of speech means freedom of speech from the government. That's where you have freedom of speech. You signed a contract that may have required you wear the stupid hat. On the flip side of this, it's a stupid hat. And on the flip side of this, your employer has problems if he makes you violate your religious belief by wearing a stupid hat. Yeah, that's actually a thing too, because the First Amendment also protects against that. He says there's no hate at all. It's just what I stand for. It's what I stand in, and I believe in God. Let me ask you this question. If he had wrote on the hat, Black Lives Matter, would Major League Baseball be mad at him? If he'd written any of those other phrases like out with ice, down with ice, any of that, would Major League Baseball be mad at him? He'd be getting an interview on The View tomorrow. He'd be getting an interview on MS Now. He'd be getting an interview on CNN. According to The Athletic, Major League Baseball official has now warned those players against violating the rules and writing on their cap. They say the writing on the cap violates our rules. Consistent with normal practice, we have warned the players about future violations. Okay, can you just say, guys, can you not write on the hats? We'll stop making you wear the dumb hats, but can you not write on the hats? This whole thing is stupid. This whole thing is stupid because the Giants want a virtue signal. And by virtue signaling, hey, guess what? Some people are going to have religious objections to what you're saying. They are. It's a dumb thing, especially given the fact that people have written stuff on their hats in baseball for all time. You're picking this to get mad about? You guys are a business, right? You still want people to come to baseball games? You still want them to buy hot dogs and popcorn and all that kind of stuff? So now you're intentionally pissing off the religious people. Though, to be fair, it's the San Francisco Giants. How many religious people are still left in San Francisco? Also, another thing, guys, you signed with the San Francisco Giants. We all know that they're going to have more Pride nights than anybody else, right? In fact, I would wager that on the San Francisco Giants calendar, it probably has Pride Night, Taco Tuesday, Pride Night. In fact, that's probably what their calendar looks like, right? Another Dodgers reliever, Blake Trinan, threw 2 crosses with Charlie Kirk's name on his hat after Kirk was assassinated in 2025. Clayton Kershaw also wrote a Bible verse on his Pride Night hat. But were they warned against this? Were they warned against this usage? During the 2025 World Series between the Los Angeles Dodgers and Toronto Blue Jays, players from both sides wrote 51 on their hat as a gesture of support for Dodgers reliever Alex Vesia, who, him and his wife, they lost their newborn baby daughter as the series started. Did the league warn those players? This is a dumb controversy, and it's stupid for Major League Baseball to cave to the woke mob. You should have said, you got your night, you got your jersey, you got the hat. Shut up. They have the freedom of speech to do this too. It's not worth the fight. It's not. If they had written something else on there, would the woke mob be mad about it? Actually, they probably would. They would probably be like, hey, it's our Pride Night. How dare you say Black Lives Matter on it? And then we're off to the races. That would just be fun. This is dumb. This is stupid. And yet we're still fighting over this stuff. For anybody who thinks that this stuff is gone and Trump killed it, it's there under the surface, just waiting to punch its way back if a Democrat gets elected. Up next, my friends, Washington media finally admits Democrat tax policies are an absolute disaster. And I'm here to chuckle and cry. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, time is running out for Turd Ferguson to make education cheaper for everybody here in Washington, but he won't do it because of Trump derangement syndrome. But before we get to any of that, my friends, I want to remind you that you now have a chance to win two tickets to see comedy legend Chris Tucker at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel on Friday, June 26th. So we are giving away these two tickets. And what you have to do is you have to text the word we give you to the number we give you for your chance to win. Today's word is mouth. As in, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Which he said in that Rush Hour movie. Mouth, M-O-U-T-H. Text the word mouth, M-O-U-T-H, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win tickets to see Chris Tucker at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel Ballroom on Friday, June 26th. I love being right. At the same time, I also hate being right, because usually when I'm right, it means something horrible came true that I knew was going to happen that I called ages ago. This is from GeekWire. GeekWire, definitely not in my little black book of the right-wing media conspiracy. This is what they wrote. 5 years in, new analysis links Seattle's Jumpstart tax to downtown decline. Oh, really? I just kind of want to know what gave it away. Was it when Amazon said, if you pass this tax, we're going to move? Was it when Amazon said, you pass this tax, we moved? Is it when Starbucks said, we're getting a new place out in Nashville there, we're moving out of here? Is it when you hit an office vacancy rate of 35%? Perhaps it was last year when former Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell actually admitted that the tax was not doing what they wanted it to do and not bringing in as much revenue and, in fact, costing them revenue. Hey, Todd Bishop for GeekWire, what finally gave it away? What finally gave it away? A new Downtown Seattle Association report asserts that Seattle's signature tax on big employers is backfiring 5 years after it went into effect, holding up nearby Bellevue as an example of the jobs and prosperity the city has missed out on in the process. No, I don't think it's backfiring. I think it's doing exactly what they wanted. They want to tax them, and they hate big business. I mean, Katie Wilson, right? She's somebody who really doesn't like business at all. I mean, what does she say when she finds out that a business is leaving Seattle, right?
Like, bye.
What does she say when she finds out somebody who's rich is leaving Seattle?
Like, bye.
What does she say when she finds out Starbucks is moving to Nashville?
Like, bye.
What does she say when she finds out Amazon moved across the water to Bellevue?
Like, bye.
What does she find out? What does she say when she finds out that 35% of downtown Seattle's office is vacant?
Like, bye.
So give me a break. It's working exactly as designed. This is exactly as it was designed. Oh, wait. You mean you don't want them here, you hate the wealthy, but you really want to tax the wealthy? You can't have it both ways, guys. You can't have your cake and eat it too. The report released Monday afternoon finds that downtown Seattle has lost about 30,000 jobs since 2020. And the taxable value of its office buildings has fallen 48%, even as Bellevue, which has no comparable tax, added jobs and saw commercial values rise 7%. The Jumpstart tax, passed in 2020 and in effect since 2021, taxes the payrolls of Seattle's largest employers, including Amazon and other big tech companies. It's projected to raise about $388 million this year, down from earlier forecasts, due in part to the loss of the high-paying jobs. Wish we could have seen. Oh, wait, we did see this coming. Do you remember this whole fight when it first started? Let's go back to 2018. Bruce Harrell, president of the Seattle City Council. The Seattle City Council was considering this stupid tax under Jenny Durkin. And what happens? They pass the tax. And Amazon says, we're out of here. So Bruce Harrell very, very quickly goes, no, we're going to repeal the tax. And they repeal the tax. What happens? COVID comes along. And Teresa Mosqueda, Shama Sawant, Lisa Herbold, Lorena Gonzalez all say, hey, you know what? Everybody's busy with this whole COVID thing. Let's pass it. Let's pass this thing. All of them. So they pass this stupidity. And they passed this stupidity knowing it was going. They were warned, if you do this, here's what's going to happen. Also, let's not forget, at the time during COVID, a whole bunch of people were doing remote work. If you're doing remote work, why would you keep those jobs in Seattle? It is, to a large extent, says GeekWire, a tax on big tech. About 70% of Jumpstart revenue comes from just 10 companies, most in the technology sector, according to the city's budget office. That's a reflection of how heavily Seattle's economy leans on a handful of large tech employers. So you dum-dums decided to tax them and chase them out of the city. Brilliant. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson, in a statement Monday evening, credited Jumpstart with helping the city recover from the pandemic. I'm sorry, what? How did it help? Oh, you know what? Traffic's lighter these days. So I guess we're happy those jobs left, right, Katie?
Like, bye.
Yeah, it's easier to get to work now because there's less. How did it help the city recover from the pandemic? What money needed to be spent to recover from the pandemic? She also cautioned against blaming downtown's challenges on any single cause. You know what? You're right, Katie. You are 100% right, Mayor Fivehead. What you should be blaming it on? The drugs which you want. The rampant homelessness as part of the drugs which you want. The not prosecuting crime which you want. Aren't you looking at raising more taxes, by the way? Which thing would you like me to blame it on instead? I'll give you credit for all of those. You want the blame for all of that? I will give you the blame for all of that. She said, okay, she did not write this. Kevin, there is no way she wrote this. These words have more than one syllable. There is no way she wrote this statement. This was written for her. We know how she talks. This is how she talks, right?
Like, bye.
That's how she talks. Here, you want the longer version of it with all the ums, ahs, and everything else? This is how she talks.
Well done! Well done!
Wait. No, that's not her, is it? That's not her. No. We're just yelling about her. We know how she talks. Ooh, E, I, O, U. That's how she talks. Tell me if you think she wrote this. We should be careful not to oversimplify the challenges facing downtown and our regional economy. She blamed the chaotic and counterproductive national economic policies. Are you really blaming Trump? You're blaming Trump for this. Is that really what you're doing? She blamed it for the higher interest rates. Oh, excuse me. Who had higher interest rates than anybody? Joe Biden. Give me a break. She said the rise of remote work and broader shifts in the tech sector as forces have affected the cities well beyond Seattle. You're not wrong about that, but you helped them. It's basically like they had fallen down and you kicked them in the gut a few times. Amazon has started to expand to Bellevue prior to the Jumpstart tax. See, this is GeekWire covering for them. Yeah, of course it was before they passed it. Do you know why? Because in 2018, they were considering the same stupid tax. It was just called the head tax. So what happened was before it was actually passed in 2020 and they saw the writing on the wall, Amazon said, we're not sticking around till you guys hit us with this thing again, especially after you have a more far-left Seattle City Council. According to GeekWire, Jumpstart was an early example of a wave of new taxes in Washington. That has prompted businesses and tech leaders to warn of an increasingly anti-business climate. Lawmakers have since added a capital gains tax and a 9.9% on income over $1 million, otherwise known as the income tax, fueling concerns from some executives about the state's competitiveness. So, guys, what do you want to do here? Huh? You talk about affordability all the time. It's not affordable, so people are leaving. And now here's where they get mad, where I get mad at the Downtown Seattle Association. The Downtown Seattle Association, rather than going balls to the wall, full bore on Katie Wilson and saying, stop with this nonsense, you are ruining businesses here, they try not to tick her off too much. According to GeekWire, the DSA is not calling for outright repeal of the Seattle tax. Scholes said the group wants a course correction, incentives, and the temporary suspension of payroll or business taxes for companies that invest in Seattle, along with a more welcoming posture from City Hall toward employers. That'll fix them. That'll do it, right? You think that'll bring them back? You think that'll do it? The tax was created to fund affordable housing. How's that going for you? By the way, Katie Wilson's little homeless village, I was talking to Andrea Suarez about this the other day, her little 75-person homeless village. There's nobody living in it. They said they were going to house 500 people by the World Cup. 0. They have housed nobody. Nobody at all. Nobody. But yet, you guys keep saying, this is the path, this is how we're going to do it, this is what we're going to do. No, not at all. You said you were going to house 500 people, didn't get any of them into shelter. Then you said, look, we built shelter for 75 people. Do you know how many people moved in?
0.0.
So, you have completely failed at what you have tried to do. So, how's that affordable housing going for you? Small business support. Well, the small businesses rely on the big businesses. They wouldn't need the small business support if you hadn't kicked them out of town. Climate programs. Hey, guys, how much have we reduced the effects of climate change around here, according to your own numbers?
0.0.
Oh, so more money well spent. Equitable development. Does that mean everybody gets a share of the homeless people? Mm-hmm. So what have you guys actually accomplished with any of this? Nothing. You've just blown our money on stupidity. Blown it on absolute stupidity. In fact, it's more than that. You want to know another tax that's not working out well? This comes to us from Mark Harmsworth, director of the Small Business Center over at the Washington Policy Center. 2 years after Seattle implemented its landmark app-based worker minimum payment ordinance, better known as the Pay Up Law, the results are in, and they confirm what we at the Washington Policy Center warned from the beginning. This policy, which forces delivery platforms to pay drivers nearly $30 per hour before tips and mileage, has backfired spectacularly. In the WPC 2022 analysis, the Seattle Council continues its war against flexible jobs in the gig economy. Washington Policy Center argued that artificially inflating wages for independent contractors would lead to higher consumer prices, fewer orders, and ultimately less work for the very drivers the law claimed to help. History has proven that prediction correct. Okay, so let's move on from there. DoorDash's recent report, 2 years later, evaluating the harmful impacts of Seattle's delivery law, lays out the damage clearly. From January 2023 to January 2025, monthly average sales per store on DoorDash in Seattle grew only about 5%, compared to 20 to 40% growth in peer cities like Denver, Portland, and San Francisco. Seattle has become the most expensive delivery market in the U.S. Restaurants are suffering, with many small businesses already in a state of financial stress. Seattle drivers earn more than 20% less per hour spent on the app in 2022 than 2023, with the decline reaching nearly 25% by the third quarter of 2025. Wait times between offers have exploded, nearly 5 times higher than pre-law levels. Fewer deliveries mean the higher per-tip pay is spread across dramatically reduced volume. A National Bureau of Economic Research study confirmed that lower tips and fewer orders completely offset the mandated base pay increases. Seattle's Office of Labor Standards released a report claiming the law is working, citing modest hourly gains and slight order growth during the first 18 months. Yet even the Seattle Times noted this analysis starts after the law took effect and ignores the broader collapse in activity compared to the pre-2024 levels. I got a question for you guys. How about this one? You know, I don't take Ubers anymore. I don't. My wife and I went back to just one of us as a designated driver when we go out. You know why? Because it's $60 every time I take an Uber now. It's not worth it. So my wife and I just go, all right, who had a rougher day? Who had a rougher day? You know, was the air conditioning broke in your office or something like that? Because then you had the rougher day, you get the nice drink. Then you get to go out. That's basically how we do it now. One of the two of us is just a designated driver because we're not dropping that kind of money on the Ubers anymore. They're outrageous. We're not going to do it. My wife will say to me, Ari, can you go to the grocery store on the way home? She hasn't said that for years. For literal years. It used to just be Instacart. Now it's too expensive. We are a perfect example of people who are not using this thing as much anymore because of how bad it is. All right, crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, has King County learned its lesson about taxes? Nope. According to the Center Square, controversial sales tax increase. Wait, hang on. I thought sales tax was regressive because it harms the middle and lower class. A controversial sales tax increase will fund critical road repairs in unincorporated parts of King County, but will also be paid for by residents across the county, including Seattle. The sales tax measure narrowly passed the council by a 5-4 margin. Voting in favor of Friday's road fund tax increase were council members Roden Lewis, Teresa Mosqueda, Sarah Perry, and Claudia Balducci. The opponents were Rob Dombrowski, Reagan Dunn, Stephanie Fain, and Peter von Reichenbauer. Great. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. So, Teresa Mosqueda, you're always talking about wealth equity. You're always talking about regressive taxes, right? You just passed a regressive tax. Any of their Democrat voters going to call them out on it? No. You know what they're just going to say? Why did sales tax go up? Why is sales tax so expensive here? It must be Trump's fault. It must be because of Trump and tariffs. It's Trump's fault. That's why the sales tax is more expensive, right? That's what they're going to say? You know that's what they're going to say. You know that's what they're going to claim. This is what they do. This is what they do. They always blame President Trump. For example, earlier today when J.D. Vance was on The View, Joy Behar claims that Trump doesn't care about affordability, and J.D. Vance took her down.
Okay. So President Trump has called affordability a hoax. He said that, not me. He's pouring money into this ballroom of his and the reflecting pool. Oh, don't forget the Arch de Trumpe, I call it, and a White House cage match. All these things. Why is he doing them when you just, everybody knows that Americans are struggling? What is he spending all this money for?
Well, I got to defend the president on the hoax point. What the president said is the idea that Republicans caused the affordability problem is a hoax. And I think that's true. If you go back to the Biden administration, inflation got up to 9% under the Biden administration, okay? Right now it's at 3.5%. By the way, too high. We're doing everything that we can to bring it back down to 2.5%, which is where most people would like to see it. But we inherited an affordability problem. We're doing a lot to make it better. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot more work to do. But the president knows that a lot of Americans are struggling. In fact, he ran on that. He talked about it. And we've done some things and made some good progress on that point.
He just said he loves the inflation.
What he said, Anna, what he said is that he loves the fact that the inflation is going to come down when this war is over. That's what he said.
That's not what he said. That wasn't a direct. Are you his interpreter or are you his vice president? Come on.
Well, look. What the president said. People were asking about the inflation. They were asking about the affordability problem, which again is very real. And what he said is, I love the inflation because it's going to come down when the war is over. And now, again, we already see gas prices today, $4.06 a gallon, too high, but way down from where they were just a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot we got to do, but I think that we're doing as much as we can. We're going to keep on working at it. And again, the American people are going to make their verdict. But
here's something else, by the way. The cage match, not paid for with taxpayer dollars. Here's something else, by the way. All the sales tax generated by all the people that came into town for that thing and spent their money in town for that thing. The ballroom itself paid for by private donors. The other thing, something we're going to have to build anyway, is all the stuff under the ballroom, which apparently was under the east wing of the White House and hasn't been updated since the Nixon administration. Since that Magneto guy ripped the bunker out of the ground. Okay, not that. But these are things that were going to be done anyway. Also, I didn't hear you guys calling out all the reckless spending by the Biden administration on all the green energy products that don't work. I didn't hear you guys talking about all the reckless spending on DEI and all these other things that accomplish nothing, or all the climate policies that accomplish nothing. Did hear you guys say it. You just don't like it when it's President Trump. Do I think we should be spending money on some of the stuff we do? No, but I call it out when that happens. For example, you want to ramp up military spending, and I love military spending. Let's spend all the money on the military. Love it. Then you really got to make those DOGE cuts permanent. Otherwise, you're just spending on Republican priorities as opposed to Democrat priorities. And one of the reasons I was so excited about DOGE was I thought they would get the spending under control. Now, have they made lots of cuts? Have they negotiated a ton of great contracts? Do I check their social media every single Friday to see what they're doing? Yes, absolutely. But unless we deal with the entitlement programs, which are what's bankrupting this country, nothing's ever going to get solved. The entitlement programs dwarf military spending. And that's not an excuse to keep spending on the military like it's going out of style, but that does put it in perspective. Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, those are the things that need to be addressed. And yet nobody wants to touch them when you talk about possible fraud in Medicaid, like spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of Washington Medicaid money on surgeries for transgender prison inmates. You do not need to be spending that money. And then cutting Medicaid funds here in Washington State at the Washington State Legislature. Can we call it like it is for a minute? Maybe, perhaps. It's the inconsistency that bothers me. And going back to what J.D. Vance said at the beginning of that conversation with the ladies of The View, where he said, I'm fine admitting when I'm wrong. How come you won't admit when you're wrong? The left here in Seattle is raising the sales tax again. And they say, oh, well, if we just do the income tax, then we can get rid of all these regressive taxes. If you believe that, there are 3 cargo ships sitting out there in the bay right now. I will cut you a 3-for-1 special. I have the authority to sell it to you right now. I will cut you a 3-for-1 special. You're going to need the money, my friends. You know why? Because time is running out for Turd Ferguson to actually opt into a law that could save you a lot of money on education. And he won't do it. Why? Because Republicans came up with it. We'll tell you why you're losing money because of Fergie when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I bet most of you have no idea that there is the Federal Scholarship Tax Credit Program. It enables eligible taxpayers to claim a federal tax credit for qualified contributions to scholarship organizations that provide scholarships for elementary and secondary education expenses. Do you know what that means? Basically, you can opt in to these accounts and tax money / your money would go to your kids' education rather than public school education. That's what you can do. This tax credit could generate more than $700 million annually for Washington students, but the condition is Washington has to opt in. Do you know who is refusing to opt us into the program?
Yeah, it's not my name.
All right, Turd Ferguson.
Governor Bob Ferguson, according to the Center Square, has until the end of the year to do so. Otherwise, Washington taxpayers can still take the tax credit of up to $1,700, but then those contributions would be directed to other states that have opted into the program. So now we're going to be paying for it in other states rather than here. 30 states have already signed into this, and not Washington State. As reported by the Center Square early in May, New York Governor Kathy Hochul opted into the program. Colorado opted into the program. Chris Rakedal says he's opposed to the idea, claiming it's going to pull money out of public education. No, you know what it'll do? It might make them more competitive. He was pressed about that opposition during a press conference back in February and still opposed it. Now, where the tax funds are directed is entirely up to the individual taxpayer and could be used for both public and private. So people who like their public school can continue sending money to the public school. People who send their private school funds don't have to keep paying for a public school they're not using and can send it to that. And if the public schools want to be better, then guess what? They can dial it up a notch. For those of you who think it can't work, worked in Florida. Public schools got more competitive and said if we have to compete with the private schools, we're going to compete with the private schools. And they stopped spending money on stupid and started spending money on better things, on smarter things. And guess what? The education improved. You know what I think? I don't think Turd Ferguson's ever going to do this unless the Muslim schools lean on him, even though his kids go to private school. He's never going to do it unless the Muslim schools lean on him. I know. That's really it. But if you want your kids to be able to opt out, or rather opt into this program, and you want your state to opt into this program, then Bob Ferguson's the one who has to do it. And yet he's refusing to do so. Refusing to do so. In fact, Washington Policy Education Center Director Vicki Murray told the Center Square she believes opposition is coming from the Washington Education Association, the teachers' union. Of course, because if more kids go to private school rather than public school, you can't indoctrinate them. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Mario and Kent. Mario, how do you feel about indoctrinating students, man?
Hey, you know how I feel about that, but the biggest question, my good friend, is what has ever improved with raising taxes for anything? Nothing, right?
No, that's not entirely true. Not entirely true. I will tell you what happened. Democrats get to go to other Democrats and say, look, I raised their taxes, vote for me again.
Right. Okay, yeah, if you want to look at it that way. But did they improve in the classroom? Did they improve homelessness? No, they don't improve anything, Ari. You know, all public education, like we talked about, has become an indoctrination center, right? Math is racist. Social studies is racist. You know, everything is racist. Reading, writing. So we're graduating basically morons who don't really know how to do anything in life.
Yes.
And then we gotta give these DEI BS priority because these kids don't know how to do anything.
Right.
And these people don't know how to do anything. So what are we doing? We're bringing mediocrity into the industry, mediocrity into government, mediocrity into public service, mediocrity into everywhere. And this is the problem. If you want the best, you hire the best qualified. That's what my father taught me. That's what my teachers taught me. You know, once upon a time, when I was going to school, of course, that was ages ago, hey, we didn't have these massive budgets, and we still learned a lot more. We didn't have air conditioning in classrooms. I went to elementary schools.
We don't have air conditioning in
how hot
studios right now, man. I mean, it's so hot in here. We don't have air conditioning in here right now. Believe me, I'm suffering like in my old school before it had air conditioning. That's right. Going through it right now. I am wasting away on the vine. In fact, slowly but surely, for those of you watching on the live stream, you're going to see more and more layers come off. But Mario, I completely couldn't agree with you more. When you had less, you had to do more with less. And now they have so much money, they're wasting it on such dumb things. And these teachers' unions, how come the scores are getting worse and worse? It's like yesterday when I called out that other local radio host and I said, this guy wants to confiscate all of Elon Musk's money and spend it on education. Guess what, Washington State? They spent $1 trillion on education since they instituted public education here, and the grades have only gotten worse. Mario, appreciate the call, buddy. Appreciate your sage advice as always. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, Christine Moreland from The More We Love will give us an update on the crisis out on our streets and actually a ray of sunshine that was actually just solved like an hour ago from one of our videos. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, my friends, we spend millions, if not billions, if not trillions of dollars trying to deal with the situation on the streets in our area. And I only know of 2 people who are actually doing that work as opposed to a lot of the money we spend on city services. One of them joins us now on the KVI studio line. Of course, I'm talking about Christine Moreland from The More We Love. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Ari. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
So great to talk to you. You know what I love about your social media? You have these weekly impacts that you put up. And you always talk about how many people you get into shelter and how many people you got meals for. But you know what else I like? You're honest about it. You say, this week we got 3 people in, or we got 1 person in, or you know what, this week we didn't get anybody in. And that's more than the city that's coming up with every lie you could possibly imagine to say we should keep the King County Regional Homeless Authority functioning when it's losing millions of dollars. And I don't mean losing them on programs that are failing. I mean actually losing the money.
Yeah, I think that the thing is that's most important is that we're just transparent. We have to be in these spaces because if we're not transparent, how do we really know what services are working? And, for the work that we do, sometimes it's your point. We do have zero. Sometimes I don't get somebody into treatment services or into permanent housing. But at the end of the day, we're humans that are helping humans, and we dig in and we hold accountability. And because of that accountability, that is sometimes why you see those zeros, because we don't take people in just to give them housing. We take them in to hold them accountable, get them into recovery and on a pathway to healing.
Right, because when you just take them in to just give them housing, we see how that horribly, horribly backfires. Look at the tiny homes, look at the hotels, look what's going on. But we brought you on today because you have a big project and you have big news. Let's give everybody a smile on their face. What's the big news for today?
Oh, do I have big news?
Well,
I don't know.
Did we get somebody off the streets today? I mean, isn't there somebody we got off the streets today?
Yeah, well, I'd say we have big news in certainly different areas. We have big news with a big, beautiful campaign coming out that is targeting, the buyers of sex trafficking. We have big, beautiful news that we are expanding our women and children's shelter to open up rooms for youth services. But today, I think, is the biggest, most beautiful news, and that is when our hands and feet are on the street and we can make contact with somebody who is the most vulnerable. And today, Andrea Suarez brought me into one of the encampments who, I've been in these streets for 25 years. I have been in most of the encampments in the jungle under I-5, and this encampment it's shocking how many young people are in there. But there was a young, vulnerable girl who Andrea has been working with for some time now who said yes to our services. And so we just got done dropping her off into a safe stay, and then we'll work on treatment services for her in the morning. And that's a huge accomplishment because leaving her on the streets leaves her vulnerable to all kinds of things.
Amazing. That is the encampment that me, Andrea, and Jonathan Cho went through that's on video that's getting viral attention right now, where we went into Lewis Park on the side of the Jose Rizal Bridge, and people were throwing stuff at us. Like, they didn't even want us in there. That's where Honduran drug gangs operate, and you managed to get somebody out of that horrible environment.
Yeah, but you know what I appreciate? That Andrea is a constant on these streets. And so even when we walked in today, some people recognized her. And she said, at the end of the day, I'm just here with my friend Christine. She's just trying to make, contact with any of the women that may need services. Andrea was able to recognize one young lady who she had been trying to support. She introduced her to me. And it didn't take, and this isn't for sensationalism or anything, but it took less than 5 minutes to ask this young woman if she needed somewhere safe to go tonight, and her answer was yes. And so if we don't have somewhere safe to take her, then we're doing that her a disservice. And that's what I told Andrea. We've got the resource. Let's get her in the car and get her safe. And the first thing that she had tears in her eyes when she walked into her safe stay, and she said, thank God, I get to take a shower. And, to her, is this just a broken promise? No, we followed through. And then tomorrow the real work starts, right? We dig into the recovery component of this. Where did she come from? What does she need? And how do we actually make sure she stays on the right track?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Okay, Christine, I originally asked you on today because I want to talk about this big campaign you're doing in North Seattle against sex trafficking, because we know when there's these big sporting events, sex trafficking goes up for all the wrong reasons. It's a horrible thing. It's terrible. Nobody likes to talk about it. But you are actually partnering with local businesses to do something about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, there's an incredible advertising agency called DNA Stone that's up in Capitol Hill, and we partnered alongside them to put out a message that was quite unique. It was actually targeting the demand, so targeting the buyers that were purchasing our young girls and our women that were otherwise online or, out there on Aurora. And we needed funding for that. We went to the city, we went to elected officials, and we weren't able to access funding. And so the private sector stepped in. One beautifully brave individual, Mr. Mike Dunn, who's been a supporter of our work for a couple of years now, even offered the side of his building right there on Aurora to put a very intentional message from a young 16-year-old girl who had otherwise separated contact from her father after he purchased a woman from a massage parlor. So very direct messages. It's not to shame them, but to bring a real truth behind this and to humanize it. We are purchasing the most vulnerable, our young girls and our women, and we are allowing, entitled men to go out there and do that in plain sight. It's disgusting.
And it's leading to more violence because surrounding the prostitution is also the pimp violence, the turf violence, the drug violence, the gun violence, the everything that goes along with that. Now, actually, yesterday we had Mike Dunn on the show to talk about this billboard, and he sent me a picture afterwards. And I assume you've seen this picture, which is the two prostitutes looking at the giant banner there on Aurora Avenue. You've seen this picture, right?
Yeah, I have. And when I was sent to, I took the picture, right? Or I received the picture. And the fact is that when I sent it to Mike, I said, if a picture could say 1,000 words. And really what I want to reflect in that picture is two women maybe finally reading a message that is to protect them, right? Seeing something where somebody so brave was able to step out and quite frankly, send a message to the men that were purchasing them. And, I think that there's something to be said for that. But if a picture could talk, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said, which is why I put it up as soon as he sent it to me. We're talking with Christine Moreland from The More We Love, who you should support her organization because of the amazing work she does on the streets. Now, Christine, we just have a few minutes left with you, and you do such phenomenal work. Tell us what's happening on Aurora, because now, as I've heard, the FBI's been sent out there, and that local police have been sent out there. But was that a one and done, or is that something that's going on to make the neighborhood safer right now?
I'm not privy to know if it's one or done. I certainly hope that it's not. The hardest part of my job is getting calls from the mothers asking for us to go out and look for their daughters. I received a call from a mother who was looking for her 17-year-old daughter out there. And when we went out there, I can't tell you how many people said, yes, we've seen her, right? And so I think that, yes, the police have stepped up, but I don't think it's here to stay. And even if it is here to stay, what are we actually doing to divert these women into safety and hold the pimps and the Johns accountable? That's the real question. So we can have street outreach, so we can have police presence, but what's it really going to do to interrupt the human trafficking and the violence? That's it, right? It's got to be in the policy side of this, and we've got to put these guys behind bars where they belong. Protect our girls at our highest level.
Couldn't agree more.
But thank you.
Yeah, I actually think...
Yeah, the calls have increased.
Yeah.
It is. We're running a 24/7 crisis line. Month to date, we've taken over 176 calls. It's all human trafficking and domestic violence, and it is a lot.
I think I'll talk to Jonathan, see if we can come up there, do a video with you, maybe this weekend or next weekend, see if we can do the same thing we did last weekend with Andrea and bring a little bit more attention to this. Christine, give us your website one time. People want to donate and people want to help out your amazing organization.
Thank you. It's themorewelove.org.
Morewelove.org. Guys, if you want to make an actual dent, an actual difference in what's going on in the streets of Seattle, Christine Moreland is the person to talk to. Christine, really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you more. Have a good day.
Very kind of you. God bless you. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, including your opportunity to win fantabulous prizes, but also feds are now dropping the hammer on Antifa. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. We are running 2 contests this week, and the second contest is to win tickets to the 2026 Bremerton Air Show, July 11th through 12th, out at the Bremerton National Airport. And the best part is, we are going to be out at the airport ourselves. We are going to be out there on the 12th. The show will be a celebration of classic military aircraft, world-class aerobatic performers, and all you have to do for your chance to win 4 tickets to this show is head on over to kvi.com, head on over to the contest page, enter your information on the contest page, and you can be entered to win 4 tickets to the Bremerton Air Show. You get to see me. You get to see Mr. KVI. I don't know if Young Zach is coming. Is Young Zach coming? We'll see. We'll see if Young Zach is coming. You're going to get to see some of our sister stations will be out there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I might be out there the day before you, though.
Oh, I see. You're going to be there the day before. I didn't realize KVI is there for 2 days.
I think we are, yeah.
Are
I
we?
think it's
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday, I think. But
cool.
Don't quote me on that. Otherwise, I'll be there with you.
Okay, so I will be there on Sunday.
Yeah.
Somebody will be there on Saturday.
Because you can't do Saturday.
I can't do the Saturdays. I can't do the Saturdays. But
maybe what if you slept under one of the planes out there, or slept
what if I
in
slept
a plane?
on one of the planes?
There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
See, okay. Bring me a little private jet action. I don't think KVI's got that kind of budget, but that would be nice, though. That would be kind of fun. Well, why do you have this private plane? Because Hoffman's Jewish. Wait, was that a racist thing? Was that a stereotype thing? No, it's because he has to sleep on the plane. What are you talking about? Well, the dude can't do anything on the Sabbath, so we got to have him sleep in weird places. Wait, what? Yeah, try explaining this to anybody. I remember when I was trying to explain it when I first got here. People are still confused about it when they get hired. What do you mean Ari can't show up on a Saturday?
I like to shovel food in front of your face that you can't eat, or talk about food that you can't eat. There's so many people in the office when you say, you can't, they're like, what?
Yes.
You can't eat? What do you mean you can't eat this?
One of our reporter friends was saying, what restaurant was it? Who's known for the sub sandwiches? Not Subway. Who's known for that? He was taught one of the sub places. He goes, Ari, what do you think it costs to get a sub, a drink, and a side dish of this thing? I go, I have no clue, man.
Jimmy John's?
Jimmy John's. Okay, so he said, how much do you think it costs to get a sub, a side, and a soda at Jimmy John's? And I go, I can tell you what that would be in the Jewish world. And I'm like, that would be $30 easy. And he goes, you pay that for fast food? I go, yeah, dude, that is what we pay. And he's like, well, I'm mad it costs that much. I go, I'd be mad if it cost that much too, because you usually get these things for $5, $10, whatever it is. That's what we always pay for it. It's not that Jews are wealthy. It's that our food is a ripoff.
Well, if you're downtown Seattle, it's pretty much Jewish prices then.
Yes.
Because
too bad it's not our food down there, my friend.
Because Jimmy John's downtown is quite a bit different than Jimmy John's in Lake Stevens or something.
So what does a Jimmy John's go for in Lake Stevens?
Cheaper than Seattle, I'm sure.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
We've talked about this before. Really, the thing to go to is right down here on the corner is a KFC/Taco Bell.
Yes.
That is the most expensive Taco Bell in the country.
Gotcha. That one right over there.
So usually value meal items at Taco Bell are usually I don't know, $2, $3. Their value menu items are $7.99.
Gotcha. Now I'm understanding. Now I understand the consternation. Well, I'll tell you where you can get a great deal. You can get a great deal in Minnesota. Do you know why? Because what they managed to do was charge 15 people in one indictment. That's a 15-for-1 deal, my friends. That's right. Here's U.S. Attorney Dan Rosen reading the charges.
Today, a federal indictment was unsealed, charging 15 defendants with conspiracy to impede or injure federal officers and other charges related to efforts of 2 Minneapolis-based Antifa groups that violently opposed the enforcement of federal law in our state. The defendants are members and associates of Direct Action Minnesota. They are charged with conspiracy to impede or injure a federal officer, solicitation to commit a crime of violence, interstate threats, interstate stalking, assault on a federal officer, and destruction of government property.
When are we going to hit him with the terrorist charges, right? Antifa's still a domestic terrorist organization, right? Can we hit them with those? Can we go that route? Can we make an example out of these guys? There's a video of everything these guys did. I mean, look, I'm loving every minute of this. I really, really am. It's about time. Maybe one of the reasons you're seeing things ramp down from Antifa is they're worried about getting hit with big boy time. Maybe that's what's happening. But can we do the terrorism charges? If we could do that, that would be much appreciated. Then maybe we'll have less of these insane lunatics in our region. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Up next, final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories. Plus, JD Vance is on a tour about the Iran deal. What's he selling? Because we still haven't seen it. Give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, more audio of J.D. Vance over owning the ladies on The View because they're not used to anybody with actually a brain on that show. But before we get to any of that, my friends, speaking of our vice president, he's out there doing the tour, selling the Iran deal, telling people how great it is, combating misinformation, except there's one teensy tiny little problem. We still haven't seen this memorandum of understanding yet. And now they're telling us we're not even going to see it until it's signed. I have a theory. I'm giving benefit of the doubt to the administration here because so far they haven't let us down. Am I hearing rumors about what awful things are in this? Absolutely. Am I very, very concerned? Absolutely. What I think they're doing is actually letting the Iranians save face a little bit. If they let the Iranians scream and yell and claim these are all the things they're getting, how many people are actually going to go read the deal? That's giving benefit of the doubt. The thing that scares me, being perfectly fair for a minute here, is that I'm kind of getting triggered by we have to pass the thing to know what's in the thing. I'm reminded of that from Obamacare. And there's a lot of bad stories we heard during Obamacare of what was in the thing, and they all turned out to be true. So we're hearing some pretty bad stuff right now, including the fact that all this money is going to go to Iran and we're going to pay to rebuild their country. Well, the truth is there's a lot of Iranian propaganda out there right now. Why would you believe it? Oh, I'm talking about the same news agencies that believed everything Hamas said from their Ministry of Health. Yes, Hamas has a Ministry of Health. No, they don't. And you guys were believing everything they said. So now you're believing everything Iran says? Look, I got my issues with this deal if what Iran says is true, but I learned a long time ago not to believe anything Iran says. Some people in the media haven't learned that lesson yet. J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States, was over on Fox News earlier today talking about this.
What really bothers me and frustrates me and is unexpected when the American media literally picks up talking points and propaganda from the RAGC that has no support in the text of the agreement that we've actually negotiated and no basis in reality. This is good for the American people. The Iranians don't get a dime unless they behave and change their behavior. And this means that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, Sean. That's why we did this.
When you say they don't get a dime, do they ever get an American dime, a taxpayer dollar?
No. So number one, first of all, they never get a dime of American taxpayer money, ever. Full stop. Not even close. Okay. What we have said is there's a lot of economic benefit in the United States relieving a lot of sanctions and welcoming them back into the world economy. There's a lot of benefit there. Not American money, but there's a lot of economic prosperity that can flow from that. What the president said to them is, we want you to be a successful country. But for you to be a successful country, you've got to give up on this threat. You've got to give up on this desire to have a nuclear weapon. And if you do that, the United States is willing to have a much better relationship.
If that's true, show us the memorandum of understanding. Show us the paper. And then you could have Ari Hoffman and everybody else in this world go, see, the media's lying. And I love saying that the mainstream media is lying. We call them out all the time. Then show us the document. Show us what is actually in the thing. And we can agree with you. For now, it's just your word against theirs. And while you have way more credibility than the mainstream media and Iran combined, I still am very, very skeptical. When do you release sanctions? Is it, thank you for signing this memorandum of understanding, we're now releasing sanctions? No. It has to be, give up your nuclear program, stop funding terrorism, stop developing ballistic missiles, maybe stop, or no, not maybe, definitely stop with the mess you're making in the Strait of Hormuz, and then maybe we'll release some of the sanctions. Maybe. That's what it should be. If it's anything short of that, that's not good for us. Now, there's a lot of Arab countries involved in this. Now, when the Arab countries were involved, sometimes there's good news out of that, sometimes there's bad news. When you had the Abraham Accords, huge news. Great news. Fantastic news. Wonderful. You got peace breaking out all across the Middle East. In fact, it was such great news, Hamas felt boxed in and decided to attack Israel because they didn't want Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords. So what do the Gulf countries think about this?
You know, what's interesting is there's been a lot of chatter, of course, about this peace deal with Iran. And one of the questions I'm most often asked is, well, how is this different from the Obama JCPOA? And there are all of these answers I could give. Number one, we're not giving them a red cent of American money. Obama gave them over $1 billion in a pallet of cash. There are all these substantive differences. I actually think the most important difference is, you know what those Gulf Arab countries thought about the JCPOA? They hated it because they thought it empowered Iran to be a bad actor. Do you know what they think about the President Trump peace plan? They love it because they think that it's turning over a new leaf to a new Middle East. So there are so many big differences between, of course, our policy and the previous administrations. But what we've done here is actually unite the Gulf together. That could have transformative impacts, not for the next couple of years, but the next couple of generations.
Okay, is that true? Is that true? Because I remember when we just signed a deal with Ukraine, it was, well, we're giving you all this money for your war. How about you pay us back for some of it? Well, we had to spend all this money taking out your terrorist heads and all your problems, and now we may have to go clean up your nuclear mess as well. Are we getting paid for any of this? Because the American taxpayer spent a lot of money doing that. Now, he is 100% correct that the Arab states hated the JCPOA. That was Obama's nuclear deal because it didn't do anything to stop Iran from getting a nuke. In fact, it gave them money in return for promises that they won't develop a nuke. Yeah, well, they had so many nuclear facilities, we had to go bomb them with B-2 bombers, literally a year ago yesterday. So that didn't work out, and American taxpayers lost a lot of money on that. In addition to that, the Gulf states didn't want a nuclear terror regime, the number one state sponsor of terror, in their midst. Let's remember, the reason they're okay with all these countries attacking Israel is because then they're not attacking them. And they're very happy about that. But what they saw was Iran had designs on the entire Middle East. They were developing a nuclear weapon. And what they were worried about was Iran would start selling the nuclear weapons to the uprisings in their own countries. And they didn't like that. In fact, Obama's disastrous foreign policy in the Middle East is what paved the way for the Abraham Accords. The basic idea was, do we want to be friends with Israel? We want to be enemies with Israel. Well, if we're friends with Israel, they're going to come here and they're going to do business here. And you know what? We're going to be able to do military exercises together against Iran, and they'll open kosher restaurants here, which means more Jewish business. That sounds a lot better than just killing the Jews. And so because there was all this fear of Iran in the Middle East, you were able to have the Abraham Accords. That's good. But I'm a little concerned. Because when you talk about how Pakistan, which is a shill for China, when you talk about Turkey, which funds terrorism, when you talk about Qatar, that funds all these schools that are anti-American and funds terrorism, and you don't talk about if Israel likes this deal or not, I'm a little concerned. Because one of the things on this talking points memo that was released about the Memorandum of Understanding is it says this brings to an end the war in Lebanon and all hostilities in Lebanon. Lebanon's not the problem. Hezbollah, which is a terrorist organization in Lebanon, is the problem. Is Iran going to tell Hezbollah to stand down? Because as long as they keep launching missiles at northern Israel, Israel's going to keep attacking Hezbollah sites in Lebanon. So is that addressed? Because I didn't see that in any of the talking points. I didn't see that in any of the memos whatsoever. So, JD, can you give me a little bit more about this?
I think what is most interesting about the last year and a half, the underreported part of the Trump administration's policy in the Middle East, is that all of these Gulf Arab coalition partners are coming together with the United States. Israel is obviously very involved, and they're actually pushing back together. You see the United States working with our Gulf Arab partners in a way you've never seen before in the history of this country. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've gotten to the point where we have a very good peace deal that's on the table that we're ready to sign, is because you see for the first time the Gulf Coast countries pushing back against Iran, uniting under the president's leadership, and actually doing something different for a change.
Okay, I'm agreeing with you. But what's the actual deal? You know, I wish I could have the thing in front of me up on whitehouse.gov. I wish I could have it right there and I could read you the deal point by point and I could say this is good, this is bad. But unfortunately, there's no deal yet. Haven't actually seen it. Haven't released it. So what is actually in this thing? It seems like you're doing a lot of spin and a lot of defense of the thing, and everything you say might be accurate. But we don't know because they haven't released it, and they said they're not going to release the text of it until Friday. Now, there is a good sign, by the way. I get all these emails from the White House. In fact, I get emails like I'm a press reporter in Washington, D.C. I get all their press emails. I just got an email from the White House talking about the signing ceremony for Friday. Now, this thing is already signed. They've already electronically signed this, but they want the photo op of this. So in Switzerland on Friday, apparently there's a big signing of this thing. And then we're going to find out what's in the deal. But once again, I am very concerned. Can you show us what's actually in this thing? I know there's propagandists in the media who are saying, here's what Iran gets, here's what Iran doesn't get. But can you tell us what's actually in this? How about it, Mr. Vice President?
The Iranians have just had their conventional military destroyed. Their country has totally changed. They have a totally different leadership than they had even 3 months ago. And so what is happening is that some elements in their society are trying to sell this deal as positively as possible to their domestic audience. Now, that's expected. It's frustrating to me, but that's expected. What is a little unexpected and more frustrating to me is that you see certain people in the American media literally recirculating hardliner talking points from the IRGC instead of telling the truth about what's going on. So first of all, not a single cent of American money goes to Iran. Not $300 billion, not $24 billion, not any of the money, the dollar figures that I've seen floating around. Number two, this is a firm commitment backed up by verifiable action to never develop or buy a nuclear weapon by the Iranians, which, remember, that was the whole point of this entire operation, is to ensure not just that Iran wouldn't have a nuclear weapon for the next couple of years, but that they would make that long-term commitment. Now, here's the important part, though, is there are benefits to Iran if they perform their end of the obligation, not money from the United States, but maybe Qatar or the UAE or Saudi Arabia, maybe they want to invest in Iran and build a power plant. The United States, our approach to that is going to be, yeah, you can do that so long as the Iranians are behaving properly. But if they don't behave properly, they don't get any of the benefits of this bargain. And so you see the propagandists who are saying, here are all the things Iran gets. And the fine print, which actually the big print in the actual agreement is, they don't get any of that stuff unless they totally transform themselves as a country. And if they do, that's a huge win for everybody, for the region. If they don't, no skin off our back.
Okay, I hope all of that is accurate. I really would like a piece of paper to read or a website to go to where I could see what the deal actually is. What about the Iranian people, by the way? They're still under the IRGC. I don't know if you saw the video out of Los Angeles yesterday where the other World Cup matches are being played and Iran was playing there literally yesterday. I don't know if you saw the video of the Iranians, the expats, who are here in the U.S., who love America, who hate the regime, who hate the Ayatollah, who showed up and were giving out T-shirts in the parking lot with the names of people who have been executed by the regime in the protests, who were trying to wave the old Iranian flag before the revolution, and those were taken away by FIFA. I wonder if you saw all that, because that's all going to be here when Iran plays Egypt on Pride Night in Seattle next Friday. God, I love my job sometimes. It's so much fun. It's going to be so much fun to watch. But in all seriousness, what about the Iranian people? Here's what the Veep said.
And Iran has shown they never wanted to do that. They cheat, they steal, they lie, and do what they want to do. What gives you reason to believe it's different this time?
Well, what gives me reason to believe is that I never believe and I never trust anybody's words. I trust people's actions. And what this deal, what the president's peace plan fundamentally does is it creates a two-pathway option for the United States of America. No matter what happens, Iran's nuclear program has been destroyed. They have no enrichment capacity. We destroyed it over the last year and a half. No matter what happens, their economy is in dire straits. The blockade and a number of the actions we've taken ensures that. No matter what happens, their conventional military has been destroyed, and they don't have the resources to rebuild it. But here's the option for Iran. If you learn the right lessons from this, and if you change the way that you react and respond to the United States, option one is we're going to change the way that we respond to you. We're going to have a better relationship. But if they choose option two, which is we're going to continue to try to pursue a nuclear weapon, then nothing that we don't commit to doing anything as part of this deal. So the United States wins either way. What the president is trying to do is actually extend the hand of peace and say, if the Iranian people want greater prosperity, then their leadership has to step up and change their behavior. If they do, great. If they don't, the United States has already gotten a lot from what we need.
But that's the problem right there. That's one of the problems, because the Iranian people are still under the IRGC. And the IRGC is still a terrorist organization. Do I think we need to send boots on the ground, boots onto the ground? No, that's not what I want to do. But we're still dealing with a terrorist organization that has never kept its word before, so why do we think they're going to keep their word now? What, because they signed it on a piece of paper? It'd be really good to see what that piece of paper actually says. And what I'm nervous about is when we actually get this piece of paper, we're not going to like a lot of things in it. Because I remind you of the line, Iran has never won a war, but they have never lost a negotiation. Are we going to find out that President Trump is the greatest negotiator of all time? Or we're going to find out we gave away the store? Or we're going to find out there's some middle ground here? What are we going to find out on Friday? Now, the good news is gas prices are coming down. But I hope all this wasn't done just to get gas prices down before the midterm elections. Because then a lot of people are going to feel betrayed. And a lot of people are going to feel like, why'd we do all this? And here's something else. Does this deal in any way bind Israel? So far, Israel's not even mentioned in any of the talking points. So with Israel still being attacked by Hezbollah, you guys keep mentioning Lebanon. If Hezbollah keeps attacking Israel and they're an Iranian proxy, then Iran has no interest in peace whatsoever, because Israel's going to keep retaliating against Hezbollah. And eventually, Israel will retaliate against Iran. And also, I really don't like the president throwing Israel under the bus in all his public comments when their soldiers and their pilots have been fighting shoulder to shoulder with the U.S. and taking out Iran. Why is nobody talking about Israel in any of this? Because Israel is a lot closer to Iran than the U.S. Nobody's launched ballistic missiles at the U.S. They've launched them at U.S. bases, but they launch them at Israel all the time. How are you going to secure Israel's safety as part of this? Otherwise, Israel's going to keep doing what it's doing, and you have instability in the region. These are my concerns. And it would be really, really nice if I had a document that could say, Ari, don't worry about that. Here's how Hezbollah is going to be dismantled. Here's how the IRGC is going to be dismantled. Here is the road to peace. And unfortunately, right now, I'm just not seeing it. And that's a big concern. I would love to see this document. President Trump gets the benefit of the doubt, but here's something else, my friends. This thing is now J.D. Vance's baby. J.D. Vance negotiated this with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and I have faith in Jared Kushner, not the biggest fan of Steve Witkoff, and we'll see with J.D. Vance, but now this is his baby. This is his peace deal. And if this whole thing backfires, it's going to follow him through the 2028 campaign. And this is a guy who definitely wants to run for president, which is why he probably said, I want to take on something like this. Speaking of taking on big things that are really, really hard, the massive drug crisis here in Seattle. It hasn't been swept under the rug. It's right out in the open. But Katie Wilson says, oh, everything's just fine. Give you all details on what I found with Jonathan Cho and Andrea Suarez when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. A lot of you over on the text line have a lot of concerns about this deal. Dustin says, Ari, they're not going to show the deal because they want Iran to sign it. If they show it, then outlets like CNN or ABC will start making stuff up or change the minds of the people calling the shots in Iran. It's better they don't release the deal until Iran actually signs it. Dustin, that is a very well thought out argument. We will see if you are right. Dustin, here's what I want you to do. If you are right about this, on Friday, when we discuss it, and you are right about this, I want you to text or call the show so I can give you the kudos that you deserve. Okay, Dustin? That's what I want you to do. Just a reminder to everybody, we have two contests going on the show today. The first one is we are giving away two tickets to see Chris Tucker at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel on Friday, June 26th. If you want to enter this contest, you got to text the word I give you to the number I give you. Today's word is mouth, as in, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Like he said to that guy in that movie that time. So, yes, I know. He said it to Jackie Chan in Rush Hour. Kevin was about to get all mad at me. How can you not know that? You sound like a damn fool when you get it wrong, right? That's what Kevin was about to do. Yes, so the word is mouth. Text the word mouth to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. We are also giving away four tickets to the Bremerton Air Show, but you can only win those over at our website over at kvi.com. So head on over to kvi.com right now. Head on over to the contest page and enter for your chance to win. So yesterday, I was telling all you guys about this outing I took with Jonathan Cho and Andrea Suarez to see all the drug encampments over in the Chinatown International District. Jonathan Cho posted the video of our journey last night, and it is not a housing crisis. He posted this video, and it's beyond sad. Give a listen to what we found.
Chinatown ID is still a hot mess.
I know Katie Wilson says Seattle is ready. Seattle's not ready. When you have people dying here on the streets, when you have this amount of drug use.
This is a popular area to score dope. This is where everybody knows everybody.
It's quite ironic for a city that keeps talking about DEI, equity, minority communities, and yet this one has just turned into a containment zone.
Well, don't you know they always destroy the minority communities? That's always where they put these things.
This place is great. Szechuan cuisine in Seattle. Very good, phenomenal.
Don't you think this place would be better if they got rid of all the drug addicts?
What should be done about it?
Oh, I think downtown should take on some of this burden, not just these minority communities. You know what I'm saying? Why is this place always messed up, man?
I don't know. I guess they pushed them this way. Look at all the boarded up businesses that are around here. Look at all the stores that used to exist.
Anybody who thinks this is a housing crisis has never been out here and never actually looked at anything that's going on here.
I look over here. None of these people look homeless.
We have to stop saying the homeless, the homeless, the homeless. It's the drug addicted, the mentally ill.
They're probably living in city paid for hotels or apartments.
This has now become a full-blown hangout.
What? Do you see a tent anywhere?
They come here for the drugs.
Yeah, in fact, they give out maps in the hotels downtown. Here's the area you want to go, and here's where all the good stuff is. They don't want you wandering off a block or two in one direction or the other, because then you're going to run into this.
Drugs, drug markets. That's what's killing Seattle and these businesses.
I mean, look at this. Every business in Chinatown. It's just one after the other. Closed. How you doing, Holly? Good to see you guys. Everyone's here. I mean, look at this. Everyone's here now. Trying to stay out the Fetty? You're so young. What are you doing out here?
Okay, my name is Andrea. Nice to meet you. I help people get into medical detox and clean and sober housing. And there's a place right now in Renton called The More We Love that take women in. Do you have a phone? How old are you?
I'm 27.
All right. This is your lifeline right here, okay?
Those are my daughter's age. My daughter's 15.
She's being trafficked, man. She's trafficked and she's not 27.
Yeah, there's no way.
And she's like, I'll call you or give me a hug. I mean, where is the outreach? Where is the boots on the ground? We don't need $17 million worth of accelerated shelter. We need $17 million of street outreach.
Seriously, here's a real question. If, God forbid, that was your daughter, or God forbid, that was your relative, you're going to say, oh, this is compassion? Oh, I'll put them in a tiny home? You're going to do that? You're going to turn your back on that girl and say, believe all women, and say, we believe in kids, we help kids, we promote education. That girl is out on the streets of Seattle, and she is no older than 16 years old.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Smoking fentanyl.
Yeah.
Smoking fentanyl.
We have got to put more people on the ground and just say enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Whatever they're spending the money on is a complete waste.
Why are there cops there? Why are there cops, Andrew?
Stabbing.
They said there's a stabbing. One of the guys told us there's a stabbing.
There's a stabbing. So the crew is now leaving Chinatown ID. We are on the Dr. Jose Rizal Bridge, heading into Beacon Hill. We're going to check out Lewis Park. That is another hot spot where a lot of these homeless drug addicts have been pushed, especially for the World Cup. I know. I didn't. All right, they're throwing stuff at us now.
Crazy thing is that this is here all day, every night, and this is just here.
I feel safer in here than I do down there on 12th and Jackson on the corner.
Okay. Why?
Because I might get hit by a stray bullet over there.
Well, everybody settled down, but they ruined my jersey, man.
They threw something at you?
They threw Ben and Jerry's at me.
How you feeling?
I don't know, man. I'm trusting you guys.
I would say if you walk through, if you have your camera on it could be it could be mace or bear spray. I mean, it's not worth it. Let's go over to the other side.
Okay.
Walk around.
Mm-hmm.
There's 150 people back here, loaded.
You smell the fentanyl. You smell everything out here. If any city leader came out here, they'd be afraid and run, or alternatively, they might actually do something. It shows they're never coming back.
Yeah, they're not going to come out. I mean, Eddie Lynn is the council member. He's aware of what's going on.
Aware.
Yeah, he's aware.
Chuck, I was aware of what's going on. I wasn't aware of what's going on.
I mean, look at this. These bus stops, too. Everyone passed out of their mind. Let's go. You know what's really disappointing for me? I thought the mayor and the city would at least even pretend to clean up Chinatown ID.
Well, they're pretending to clean up the rest of the city. I mean, go down the waterfront. It's gorgeous. Go to downtown. But you and I both know it's not going to last.
All right, now we got the cops.
We're out of here. Everybody that's not waiting for a bus needs to leave.
Okay, so now you're seeing the enforcement. King County Sheriff's deputies out here clearing the scene. Hey, is she okay? She's okay? Have you seen the homeless drug addicts yet?
I saw one or two from England.
You're from England? You guys are Team England?
Yeah.
Have you seen any homeless drug addicts yet?
Oh, plenty of them.
All right, so we finally made it to the stadium area. What do you guys make of it? It's not quite as crazy as the CID.
I took off my bulletproof vest. I'm 20 pounds lighter over here. But look at all the touristy stuff. Look at all the signage. And now, this place is ready to go for the World Cup. But 3 blocks that way is a third world country.
It was crazy to me. I've never seen anything like it. Now, you heard from Christine Moreland from The More We Love that her and Andrea Suarez went into Lewis Park, which is over by the Jose Rizal Bridge, which is coming down from Beacon Hill into Chinatown. And they actually managed to get one of the girls, not the young girl, but they managed to get another girl that we saw into shelter today, into housing today, managed to rescue her from that Honduran drug gang insanity that's taken over a park. You heard in the video, we couldn't even go through the park. We got stopped by the addicts. We got stopped by the dealers. They were throwing stuff at Andrea. They were throwing stuff at Joe. I just didn't get hit because I was standing behind them. It was dumb luck. I didn't get hit with Ben and Jerry's also. But that's what it was like. The entire park has been taken over by these addicts. And meanwhile, you've got Katie Wilson saying we're ready for the World Cup. Give me a break.
Any idea what flavor of Ben and Jerry's we're dealing with here?
Well, we were standing on a rocky road.
Oh!
See what I did there? Yeah, that's good. It looked like a chocolate.
Cherry Garcia, possibly?
No. I think it may have been something chocolatey.
Yeah, I think there's chocolate in the Cherry Garcia.
I don't know.
Wrong.
I don't like Ben and Jerry's. It's too chalky for me. I'm not the biggest
I
Ben
think
and
there's
Jerry's
other
fan.
reasons why you don't like it either.
Well, I mean, I don't like them because they're lefty Looney Tunes and don't like Jews. But you know what? That's not my issue with Ben and Jerry's. If it tasted good, if Haagen-Dazs, didn't like that kind of stuff, I think I'd still eat the Haagen-Dazs, because I really love the Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, Haagen-Dazs is better.
It's so good.
It's just better.
It's so good. How come there's no Haagen-Dazs stores around here?
I don't know. I think we had a couple for a little bit a while back, but they went away.
I would happily pay the $10 for the milkshake because they were that good. I love the Haagen-Dazs. I absolutely love the Haagen-Dazs. I'll settle for a Ben & Jerry's milkshake. The problem is, I don't think the Ben & Jerry's milkshake is worth the $10 that they charge for those suckers these days. It's insane. It's absolute ripoff. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, our vice president owned the ladies of The View. Destroyed them. We'll have that awesome audio for you when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Lots of positive feedback to the segment I just did about Andrea Suarez, Jonathan Cho, and I going out and covering what's going on. And yesterday, what I was talking about, there was a lot of positive feedback. And I'll tell you something, guys, when Christine Moreland called us earlier and told us that they got one of the women in the video into shelter, that was huge. But I'll tell you something else. People ask why we do this kind of stuff. Well, I'll tell you. My wife just sent me a comment she saw on the video. And she says, you got to get this to Jonathan Cho. They might know who the girl is, the young girl we were talking about in the video. They might actually know her family. That's why we put this stuff out there. That's why we do it. 12th Man for Life says, what you guys saw the other day should be on the news every day. How you felt, Ari, was felt by everyone that watched. What is wrong with the Democrats? I got a better question for you, 12th Man for Life. What is wrong with the media? What is wrong with the media? This is an angle on the World Cup. What? They're worried they're going to lose the World Cup broadcasting rights? Sorry, guys. Fox has them. What? Your owners are worried they're never going to get them in the future if they run a negative story? This isn't a negative story about the World Cup. This is a negative story about Katie Wilson. This is a negative story about Seattle. Because basically, Katie Wilson did what any teenager does when their parents tell them to clean the room. Shove everything under the bed, shove everything in the closet. Katie Wilson's all about things coming out of the closet, so you think that she wouldn't be doing that. But Katie Wilson shoved her problems away, hoping nobody would notice. This is why we went to look for them. This is why. So why isn't the mainstream media covering this? What you're afraid to? Get security. I've seen you guys get security before. You should be covering this stuff, and yet you are not. It's insane that they are not covering this stuff. In fact, from the 360, it's beyond insane that the mainstream media isn't covering this. Exactly. Exactly right. What are they still covering? How much they hate Trump, how much they hate Trump, how much they hate Trump. For a minute there, it was all Katie Wilson all the time. You know, guys, if she gets a win off the World Cup, going to be a lot harder to get her out of office. You may say, oh, watch this. You know what you're going to say? You're going to say, well, she stumbled at first, but look at the amazing job she did with the World Cup. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. In fact, Jonathan Cho sent me a video during the break which shows Kshama Sawant and her lovable band of communist lunatics out there using the signs from the King County building that we revealed yesterday. Wait a second, Kevin, I just realized something. If King County gave them that space, is that an undisclosed campaign donation to Kshama Sawant? Oh, is it now? I actually think you got a better case for that than what they were claiming with regards to Brandy Cruz and Let's Go Washington. Switching gears over to our Vice President, J.D. Vance. He went on The View today. And, of course, Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg can always be counted on to lower the level of conversation to racism.
And you were talking about people. What do black people do to this administration that has allowed it to really stigmatize folks of color?
What are you talking about, you crazy lunatic? What are you talking about? What are you? Just give me an example. Give me one example. Give me one, yo, crazy whatever. Okay, let's hear the rest of this.
And you know how hard it is. You have folks of color in your family.
Sure.
So when you see, you know, things, the Emmett Till stuff coming down, or them doing all kinds of removal of information.
What removal? What removal? What information? What are you talking? Well, your wife, she's kind of black. That's what Whoopi Goldberg. Your wife's kind of black. You should know better. What are you even saying? Okay, I think I figured it out. When Whoopi Goldberg doesn't have the lines given to her, like on Star Trek or in Ghost or any of those things, she just doesn't make any sense. Good actress, can read her lines. No actual thoughts in that head.
Of black heroes. How does that sit with you?
Well, what exactly are you talking about, Whoopi? Because you just I know Emmett Till was the kid. No, I want to know what she's.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Your actual point.
So in a lot of the museum.
You had to help her out. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. Just throw out the allegation. Sure, let's help her out.
There's so many.
There's so many examples. I can't name a single one. There's so many examples. I can't name a single one. Kevin's laughing, and Kevin doesn't usually laugh at this stuff.
Like, if you're going to go someplace, be prepared to go. You took it there.
Yes. Yes, you went in that direction. Okay, you think all this black history is being removed and all this stuff is being taken? Well, then give an example. Give an example.
I mean, this is the sort of thing, like, she gotcha'd herself.
Yes, she just sounds stupid. Just sounds stupid. Let's hear the rest of this rambling nonsense.
You know, where they're taking down the actual history that happened in this country. Slavery happened.
Okay, where are they removing slavery? Where are they getting rid of that? Oh, sure, let's just go to it. You know, slavery happened in our history. Slavery happened. You know slavery, right? What do you say to that, J.D. Vance? What are you talking about?
All kinds of stuff happened, and it seems...
all kinds of stuff. That's how specific we can get. All kinds of stuff. I don't even have to play JD's response at this point. Just let her punch herself out.
That it has been very easy for this administration to remove that and also to denigrate black folks who have worked their behinds off.
What? What are you talking about? Can we get an example? Anywhere. One example. One example.
To get this American dream, how do you, I mean, you know better.
Woo! All right, the train clapping seals. Yeah, you go, Whoopi. Woo! Didn't make a point there. Didn't have a single example, but these are the people who want the tickets to The View. Look, you want tickets to one of the Fox News shows? You're a certain type of audience. You want tickets to The View? You're another kind of... Woo! You got him, Whoopi. You didn't actually say anything. You had to be helped out by your co-host, and you paused multiple times because you didn't have the facts, and then you just spoke in broad generalities with no specifics. You got him. Well done. Well done, Whoopi. J.D. Vance didn't even have to respond to that stupidity. Crazy.
All I can think of is that piece of audio that you run from, which one is Billy Madison?
Yes.
I feel dumber for having listened to that.
Wait. Hang on. If you want that, Kevin, we will oblige you. We will make sure that is what you get right here. In fact, here we go. This is the response to Whoopi Goldberg.
The Industrial Revolution changed the face of the modern novel forever. Discuss, citing specific examples.
Come on. Okay. The Industrial Revolution to me is just like a story I know called The Puppy Who Lost His Way. The world was changing, and the puppy was getting bigger. So you see, the puppy was like industry, in that they were both lost in the woods. And nobody, especially the little boy, society, knew where to find them. Except that the puppy was a dog. But the industry, my friends, that was a revolution.
Oh, wait, you weren't looking for Whoopi Goldberg's question, right? Like what Adam Sandler just did. Because that was the question. You were looking for the response to that. You were looking for
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines. Your good news headlines to put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And because I'm in a good mood today, because I'm going to be getting out of this booth, which has had no air conditioning in it for the last 3 hours, because I'm excited to get out of here, 2 more chances to win fantabulous prizes. So, number 1, I'm going to say this again because some of you have been texting in the wrong word. When I see that you're texting the word, that means you're texting the wrong word, my friends. Otherwise, it goes to the contest thing. So, if you want to win the tickets to Chris Tucker today, which we are giving away, we are giving away tickets to comedy legend Chris Tucker, who's going to be at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel Ballroom on Friday, June 26th. If you want to get those tickets, you got to text the word mouth. M-O-U-T-H, as in, do you understand the word that's coming out of my mouth is mouth? Text the word mouth, M-O-U-T-H, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Your other chance to win is we are giving away 4 tickets to the 2026 Bremerton Air Show, July 11th through 12th at the Bremerton National Airport. We will be there. I will be there myself out on July 12th. Might have a booth out there on July 11th, but for sure I will be out there on July 12th, so you can come see me at the show, which will be a celebration of classic military aircraft and world-class aerobatic performers. To enter this contest, head on over to kvi.com right now. That's kvi.com right now for your chance to win. They're going to ask you for a little bit of personal information. We do not spam you with other stuff. We do not sell your data, but that's how we get you on our list so we can tell you about events, contests, and so much more. That is only on our website over at kvi.com. Plus, there are 3 articles up there by me that we did not do on the show yet today. I wrote them last night. Young Zach put them up today. We're going to do them on the show tomorrow, but if you want to know tomorrow's news today, check out kvi.com. Also, while you're there, sign up to become a KVI Insider. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can listen to them. You can stream the show. Very fun website. All right, switching gear over to good news. So first of all, the fact that Christine Moreland and our friend Andrea Suarez from We Heart Seattle got that woman Holly from the Story Jonathan show Andrea and I did out the other night on Sunday, got her into actual shelter and housing and got her taken care of. That's the best news of the day. That's the best news of the day. In other good news, Meta has announced it will be donating Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses to all legally blind veterans in the United States. The glasses, which contain cameras and technology that can perform tasks such as identifying objects and reading text, will be given free of charge to all eligible veterans and will come with hands-on training and support. Do you think this is what Trump and Zook were talking about at the UFC fight the other night? Meta announced the initiative on Friday, saying the program was inspired by U.S. Army veteran Don Overton, who lost his eyesight in Desert Storm in a bunker explosion. Overton said in a statement, "When he lost his sight, I also lost my independence. The moment I put on my Ray-Ban Meta glasses, I got my independence back." There are 130,000 veterans who are considered legally blind and will be eligible for the program. Those eligible can request a pair through the Blind Veterans Association, which will also be creating training to ensure that all recipients can use these glasses to their fullest potential. I'll tell you, I could use some training for my technology because I know for sure I'm using things on my Surface wrong. I know that for sure. I don't have Meta glasses. I've got the Bose glasses. You know what those are? They have the speakers built into them. They're great for bike riding. They don't have cameras or anything like that on them, but I do enjoy those. Meta said every pair of glasses includes access to training resources designed to help veterans use them effectively. Training covers how the glasses can identify objects, read text, and manage everyday tasks using only their voice. A step change in daily independence. This is huge. All right, this is just huge news that you can help people out with something like that. You talk about how evil these billionaires are, and yet he's giving out technology that can actually help things in the world. That's huge. They talked about how when Don Overton worked with our wearable team at Meta to build features that made Ray-Ban Meta glasses more meaningful to the everyday lives of veterans, we at Meta knew we had to find a way to reach every blind veteran in America. That's huge. That's fantastic. Well, my friends, that's going to about wrap it up for us today. But fear not, because you know what? We will be back tomorrow with more insane stories and more exciting guests and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.